What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Brok'n Barstool podcast. I'm your host, Juan Contreras. And in irregular fashion, my co-host, my right-hand man, is Dustin Sclafani.
I am here.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I could help fill in.
Yeah, so actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into that, and it's kind of crazy, and there's so much like stuff to unpack about this, and yeah, I want to address you guys and address everyone who's listening. What's going on? So, on behalf of Orlando and myself, we're extremely happy and extremely grateful that you stood up to the plate and were able to kind of fulfill his position for a little bit, and keep the podcast going, because that honestly was one of our biggest issues that we're having, and it's currently in the works to get that figured out. I just want to say right off the bat, Orlando is coming back. He will be back actually on our next episode to address what is going on and give a little bit more insight on his side. But yeah, man, just from Orlando and I, thank you so much, because one of the things that I absolutely did not want is for this podcast to die because of his absence.
Yeah, no, you approached me about it, and I talked to both you guys, and it was like, I had so much fun the last few times that I was on and stuff like that, and it was like, why won't I come over and have a couple drinks and fucking shoot the shit with you? It's like,
exactly.
Oh, twist my arm here about this. Like, this is gonna be awesome. I love this,
dude. And honestly, man, like, there was no better fit. Because Orlando and I had been talking about this, because obviously we haven't been releasing content as regularly as we normally do.
Mm-hmm.
And we had been talking about what this means for the podcast. And we talked about different options, and there was so much going on within our discussion of, where we should go, what direction we should take to make sure that this thing stays alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And one of the options that we came across was, how about we find a temporary substitute to fill in your place as my co-host for the time being, because long term is Orlando's going to move to the area, which makes it 100 times easier for us to record on a regular basis and do much more extravagant episodes, like what you saw in the beginning of the early days of the podcast, and when we do a lot more traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It just became so much harder.
Yeah, you guys' camping episode, the barbershop episode,
the hiking episode,
Mm-hmm.
all these different things that we used to do, the Salt Lake episode, things like that.
Oh yeah,
we really kind of stretched to do those on our last couple adventures, just because it becomes not just a logistics nightmare, but like a financial issue.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a time and schedule issue, because since we've started this, Orlando and I have had such drastically different schedules,
mm-hmm.
personal life and work schedules, that trying to make these two things match at one point or another throughout a month is kind of a nightmare, man.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah,
But I'm really glad to be here. I'd say I'll keep his seat warm for him until I move back to the other side of the table.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy to have you, and we Orlando and I had discussed like a couple different options as far as a substitute co-host, and I feel like no other guest that we have had on the podcast has had the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, nothing against any of the other guests we have on the podcast.
I'm just better than all of them.
But you have shared the same enthusiasm for the show.
Oh yeah.
As no one else. Like,
I love it. It's fun.
It is extremely fun.
It's just fun.
Like, there's no reason to look for an excuse, but having a podcast as an excuse to hang out with your friends and meet new people is pretty fucking cool.
I mean, it's just fun. Literally coming over here today, getting ready. I was like, giddy and excited.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got to go film the podcast today.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
I was
no
just pumped. Like all morning, I was just like looking forward to this. Like for my whole day, I was just like, hell yeah, I get to go over.
Yeah, dude. And it's just it's gonna be so sick. And not saying that once Orlando comes back that you're not gonna have a position.
Yeah.
And I mean you're always gonna be part of the Brok'n Barstool family, of course. But
Yeah, I'll fight him for the seat. It's
yeah,
fine.
dude, I know. Dude, he's a shrimp, dude. Whoop his ass.
Dude, easy pickings.
Easy pickings.
Easy pickings. Dude, that could be an episode.
I know.
I could just fight Orlando in your backyard, and the winner gets the seat.
Dude, we get another belt, a child's belt, and you guys fight for it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down 100%.
Just fat guy wrestling in your backyard. We could like sell tickets to it or
I
something.
feel like this house is made for it. Dude,
Yeah.
I feel like I bought this house to wrestle fat guys in the back.
Oh, that would be hysterical.
Yeah, man. But anyway, so since, we've kind of addressed it, and I'm looking forward to, having Orlando come back on and share his side of it and really kind of give the listeners the full 360 view of what was going on within the Brok'n Barstool and our personal lives. And it's been nothing short of a roller coaster ride, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even for you, like, aside from starting to be my co-host,
Mm-hmm.
and like our personal lives have been a little bit fucking crazy.
New jobs, changing jobs.
Yeah, career paths in
Career
general.
paths, just and then like you were saying, scheduling wise with Orlando not being in the area and stuff like that. I mean, hell, just in the last like 3 weeks, like I've been out of town for like the last like 3 weekends in a
Dude,
row
yeah.
and stuff like that. It's summer now, so of course like
Yeah,
wanting to travel more and
exactly.
like,
Taking advantage, like there's trying to find that balance between your work life and your personal life, and like
mm-hmm.
from family and friends and other obligations and stuff.
Yeah.
It can get messy pretty quick.
Yeah.
But one of the things, dude, that I wanted to talk about was the whole electrician thing.
Yeah.
Because something that I think we touched on in previous episodes was that I had left my previous career, which was an automotive technician, and decided to jump into a new career field, which would be the electrical field. And I currently am an electrical apprentice, same as you.
Yeah, same.
And actually, a part of this journey for myself, Dustin jumped ship with me.
Yeah,
because we were working for the same place.
The most I would say spur of the moment, but probably one of the most like shooting from the hip decisions I have ever made. Like, we were both doing automotive. You came to me on like Monday and was like, hey man, I'm thinking about leaving, gonna go be an electrician. And I'm like, that's cool. I think you should do that. And then on like Wednesday, you were like, you should come with me. And I was like, I don't know anything about electricity. And you were like, neither do I.
Yeah.
And then I think on Friday, I was like, screw it, I'm in, let's go. And we gave notice and was like out the door like a week later. Like, I think literally from Monday to Friday was my entire thought process of like, do I want to completely change my entire career path?
I mean, to be fair,
fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, dude, no shit. to be fair, your career as an automotive technician wasn't like entirely embedded yet.
No, not at all, not in the slightest.
So it might have made it. I mean, obviously, changing career paths in general, just like, is tough as fuck.
Yeah,
because you decided to go a direction for a reason. And now you're just like, all right, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, and for me, I'm starting to get to the age where it's like I have to stop making changes because it's
and fucking stick to it.
Stick to it because it's like I'm not 21 anymore. I'm not 22. I'm not 23. It's like where you can just I'm just gonna change my job. I'm just gonna change my job. It's like no, you got to start like kind of going down a path and like stick in that path,
dude. You know what? Though?
And that was like the biggest like hang up when you were like, no man, let's go, let's do it. It's gonna be awesome. We can go and like learn all this new stuff together. I was just like, I'm 30, I was like, I kind of got to pick a career and
Yeah,
stay on that path.
at least for a while.
Yeah, that's like my biggest, or was my biggest hang up. And literally in the time that we've switched now, I love it.
Yeah, dude. I was actually talking about this. So, a little bit of a backstory why we ended up going the electrical route. So, I'm very, very deep rooted in the mechanical field. Um, I went to college for automotive technology. I graduated. I got my first, job, like professional job as a technician, like shortly after I graduated. So probably at the age of like 19, almost 20.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I've been since then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I really kind of cared to be when I was younger. So my roots are heavily embedded in the mechanical field.
Yeah.
So my brother, since he was 17, had been an electrician. So of course, when he was 17, he wasn't actually legally allowed to be an apprentice electrician. But you know what? They let him through, and he did a lot of grunt work anyway. So now, at this point in his career, he is surpassed like 90% of other people in his career field.
Yeah, his peers and even people who've been in the industry longer than him.
Exactly.
He's surpassed. He's done amazing things.
And he's a licensed journeyman. He's had his license as a journeyman for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 14 years as an electrician, and that's his license period. So he's getting his master's. We have a commercial license. We have he's done it all. He's done from industrial to commercial to solar to residential. He's full spectrum electrical. And now with his experience, he was able to coax us to kind of jump ship and join him to work for a company. I'm not gonna get into. I can't say names because first and foremost, I do not want to get sued. Yeah. And I can't afford to get sued if I'm honest. But we worked for a company.
I'm not wearing their T-shirt or anything. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I had to make sure. But we worked for a company. That's not a hat, right?
No.
All right, just checking. We worked for a company that at first was very, honestly, kind of like, it made me feel good. It made me feel comfortable, and it really made me feel good about my decision.
Yeah, well, 100%.
Like starting with this company as a first-year electrician, knowing that my brother, with his experience, was going to lead us and guide us and teach us the ways to be, good electricians and be successful in the field. And that was one thing that, like, well, aside from, like, the difference in pay, long term, I mean, because, the first jump was a little bit shocking to me, but long term, it does pay off. And that was kind of the big things, like switching over was like one, thinking about the long term. Two, knowing that the person teaching me is knowledge and experienced and had the best intention for his employees. And three, that I would be working for a company that at the time showed a really high interest in developing.
Yeah.
With what seemed to be uncapped potential.
Yeah. Seemed to be uncapped. Well, everything about that place was uncapped, which was really nice. That was the lucrative thing about when we switched. It was you could come in, you could work as many hours as you want, make as much money as you want,
exactly,
get as much OT as you want. It was like, cool, I can go over there
and really like make my own by like my own effort.
Yeah. If I want to make more money, I just work more and I make the money that I'm going to make, type thing. And there was no
limitations set by the company.
Yeah. It was like, you have to show up, Monday through Friday from this time to this time, and anything else you wanted to do, extra. They were like, sweet, we support you. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Like, we want guys who work as much and as hard as you do and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And that was amazing. It was great because, of course, me and you having zero experience, honestly. I was nervous as hell every day. Literally, our first day, I was just shitting my pants the whole day. Like, someone would say something, and it was just coming through as, like, Mandarin Chinese. I was just like, I don't even know what you guys are asking me to do right now. Like, I was so lost.
On our first day, I swear to God, I did not want to say anything. Plus, they split us up, which fucking sucked.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
I was like, all right, I got a buddy in this. Let's fucking go. We're going to be clueless together. And they're like, hey, man, we need you over here. And they're like, okay. And I go with them. And they're like, no, you're still here. And I was like, fuck. So, anyway, when I didn't want to admit it on our first day, but I was fucking anxious, bro. Like, I was like, I just wanted to. I didn't know who to talk to, who not to talk to, who was actually going to show me something, who was an apprentice, who was a journeyman, so on and so forth. Was I learning, bad habits from this person? And we were so busy. We started at such a shit time.
Yeah, we were right. We started in the middle of a project.
Yeah, so
it was like we were...
And in a time crunch.
Yeah, they were on a time crunch for a project that was behind schedule and was supposed to be finished earlier.
Yeah.
So it was like we walked in and they were 80% done, and they should have been 120% done at that point.
They should have been out the door.
Out the door, and they were just like, yeah, you two, go over here and do this. And I'm like, I don't know what you just said to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or there's the classic, like, hey, go grab Jim. And it's like, who the hell is Jim? And then you're just walking around for 20 minutes being like, hey, have you guys seen Jim?
Yeah, or parts.
Yeah.
Parts, dude, because, like, it's not like a run-of-the-mill, like, even to a layman, what, as far as mechanical stuff goes, what an alternator is, what an engine looks like, different things, right? Very basic. Most people have heard of it, but how many people have heard of, what is it, THHM or whatever, and
pulling 373 DLO and
yeah,
stuff like
exactly.
I now know what 373 DLO is, but if you told me that on day one, I would have just walked out the gate. I would have just went home. I'd have been like, I don't know, this isn't for me.
Or what's that shit called that we pull for the ripos? It was like 3-phase comm wire stuff.
Oh, shielded twisted pair.
Yeah, shielded twisted.
Shielded twisted pair, double strand, single strand, and triple strand. Yeah,
exactly. All that shit. They're like, hey man, can you get a box of this? And I was like, yeah. I could go grab shit.
Yeah, I have never once read as many labels.
I know.
Just walking into the parts building and just being like, no, that's not it. And then just going to the next one and just reading the labels.
Yeah.
Even the simplest stuff, what I thought was going to be simple, especially at that place, just the amount of different size wire.
Yeah.
I knew there was obviously just all the different sizes.
Yeah.
I knew that going into
sizes, and so, I mean, you got stranded, you get solid, you got aluminum, you got copper, you got, all these different kinds of wire that are extremely crucial to whatever
for that type of
whatever
place too.
Equipment that we're using.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, the difference of 1 gauge and 1 aught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't you pull a whole bunch of one?
No, that was rain.
Okay. I remember somebody they did all of the task, and they were supposed to be using 1 aught, and they used 1 gauge, and it was 3 hours.
He did it twice. Shout out to Rain, dude. I love the guy. He's awesome. He's a sweetheart of a kid, kind of hard headed, and he's got some attitude, but he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Rain, hopefully you can hear this at one point. Maybe you can come on the show. It'd be awesome. But yeah, that Rain, I think he did it twice because he did it once when we were working with on the Intel, right before I left, and then once when we were doing one of our Amazons, and that was that was funny. He made that mistake a couple times. Excuse me. But anyway, back to day one. The anxiety, the frustration, the overall just kind of being lost, like genuinely lost.
Yeah.
And it's not like most of the day, it's like 100% of the day.
Oh yeah, all day long, all
Yeah.
10 hours we were there for that whole first, I don't know, probably 2 weeks, honestly.
Remember when our boss started chewing someone out in front of you while you're sweeping?
I think that was literally like day 2.
Yeah.
I still had no clue what I was doing. There was like nothing to be done for someone of like my level. So your brother was like, "Hey, just grab a broom and like sweep up." And I was like, "All right, cool, I got that."
Yeah.
And so I swept up this like whole building that we were working inside of. And the last spot I had to sweep was where this argument was going on between 3 separate people, your brother being one of them, and these 2 other experienced electrician, apprentice, whatever level they might have been.
Yeah, they're high year apprentices.
Yeah, high year apprentices and your brother, and they're having a very heated go fuck yourself argument.
Yeah.
Literally in like where I just need to sweep and then I can like leave and stuff like that. And like the head foreman, the head boss, like
Yeah.
walks in, looks at me, and he's just like, "Oh, hey man, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Ah, nothing. Just everything's good." And he was like, "Am I in your way?" And I'm like, Nah, why?" And he was like, "Well, you're not pushing that broom, so I figured you might as well. I might be in your way or something." And I was like, "Oh shit, my bad." And I just randomly started sweeping like areas I've already sweeping, but like it's like my second day. Like, what do I do? I'm like, "Nah, I'm just waiting for these fucking assholes to move."
These guys to stop yelling at each other.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this super heated Jerry Springer argument to go away, so that way I can sweep.
You're not the father.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, I didn't like. And of course, it was like my second day. I was in no position to be like, "Hey, move."
Get out of my way.
Yeah.
They're like, who the fuck is this guy?
I worked for the company for 11 hours at this point.
Dude, Jesus.
Yeah, but he literally walked in and he was like, "Well, you ain't working, so I figured somebody had to be in your way." And I was like, "Oh, my bad." And I just like ran off to the corner and just like started sweeping.
Dude, oh my God, I wish I was there. Thankfully, or not, I was on the building above yours doing nothing, pretending to do something for hours. Because everyone's like, "Hey, man, do you know how to do this?" And I was like, "No." And then I was like, "But, I mean, I'm willing to learn whatever you're willing to teach me." And they're like, "Oh, well, I'll get you on the next one, man." And I'm like, "Okay. Like, what do you want me to do?" And they're like, "Well, can you terminate or land these wires?" And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Well, can you show me how?" And they're like, I got you on the next one, man. I was like, fuck. Because, like, that was the shittiest part about starting when we started, because everyone who was in there, well, for the most part, had enough experience to be useful.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, was under such a, like, crazy rush that nobody wanted to, like, slow down for a couple seconds to teach us shit.
Yeah.
Granted, there was maybe 2 or 3 guys that did. Shout out to Carlos Ortega, fucking awesome guy. He took the time. Martin also did.
But yeah, Martin taught me a lot in those first few weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to those 2 guys for sure. 100% took the time to show some shit. But a lot of our first days there and was, I mean, let's just tack on 1, not knowing what we're doing. 2, having those thoughts of, did I make the right fucking choice?
Oh, God, dude. Yeah, for real. Just being like, "Oh, do you think our old job is hiring?
Yeah,
do you think they filled my position yet?"
Dude, I didn't have that choice. Okay.
Yeah,
so I left my previous job. This would be the second time. So I knew that was it. You know, there's no 3 strikes, you're out. This is like, I'm done. I'm not going back to work for them. They will not let me back. At least you still had the option, and you still left a good impression.
Yeah.
So, if anything, honestly, man, if all goes to shit, you still have that job there.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee it. I can guarantee that you still have that job there, because you are now in what position I was in 5 years ago, or whatever, 6 years ago. But, dude, it was insane to like think of all of these things that we were tacking on, all these different stressors.
Yeah.
On our first like week. I remember because we carpooled.
Yeah.
So that was our thing. Dustin and I would carpool to this job. We'd just meet at our local Costco and drive the 15, 20 minutes out to the site. And that was our normal routine. And what we did when we left was nothing more than like the world's biggest sigh, exhale, decompression.
We would just get in the car and just be like, oh God. And I'd just be like, hey, how was your day today? And he's like, I don't even know. And I was like, okay, well, I had about the same exact day.
Dude, oh my God.
Just driving for like 15, 20 minutes in just
silence.
And just not even the radio playing, just two guys sitting in a car, just staring out the windshield, just decompressing and reflecting about every decision you've made up to this point.
I was like, fuck. And then having everyone ask you throughout the day, like, oh, what's up, man? Like, how do you like it so far? And I'm just like, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Dude, I'm like, yeah. Dude.
And I was like, does it get easier? And they're like, nah, it only gets harder. And I'm like,
dude, just wait till you have to do this. And I was like, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But then I felt like we started to catch on very...
Yeah. It was...
quickly. I mean, not everything, but I feel like the stuff that we were then handed...
We were useful.
I feel like we hit a certain point after about, I would say maybe the 2 or 3 week mark where they could just be like, hey, go land this box. And I could be like, okay, I got that.
Yeah, dude. And one of the things, honestly... So, I think I was there a total of, like, 3 months?
It was like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. But I will say that by the time, probably our first month came along, I started to get to a point where I was useful enough and I knew what people were saying to me that I no longer just switched from doing what I was told to really trying to make what I was doing look pretty.
Yeah.
Because now I had something to base myself off of.
Yeah.
Like, granted, if someone told me to terminate this box,
mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, okay, terminate the box. And then they're like, all right, well, technically it's terminated, but it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Every wire's coming in from a different direction.
Yeah, and I was like, well, it's fucking terminated. Tell me to terminate the box. And they're like, yeah, dude, you have to, like, think about your craftsmanship. And I was like, okay, no.
For everyone who's not an electrician, terminating is literally just stripping a wire back and just putting it into the receptacle where the power or the signal to flow into the device that it is.
Yes.
It's literally just connecting a wire onto a device, essentially, to power or send information.
Exactly. Good things.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so I started getting to the point where now that I knew how to do whatever task they were referring to now making it look extremely professional and adding that, like, level of craftsmanship, like making sure that, like, when you put box covers, all your screws are facing the same direction,
mm-hmm.
and when you terminate a box, all your wires look like they're sewn into it, you know what I mean? Like
that nice like waterfall of the wires.
So it all, like, every wire looks like they have a perfectly beautiful direct path to the gear and whatever. Like, I started getting to that point where, like, my attention to detail got so much higher. Granted, I'm still, like, you know, a neophyte in this industry. Like, I have absolutely no idea to this day, like, in comparison to, you know, a licensed journeyman or a master electrician or, you know, so on and so forth. But I started realizing that it was much more than just completing the task than it was to make it look good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was, like, so many steps to get to that point, and, like, I went from the weird panicky freshman to, you know, I was smart enough to learn and be useful. And I mean, it same goes for you. Like, I honestly think that you picked up bending conduit a little bit quicker than I did.
I was actually just about to bring that up. I was like on my last week there. I had to bend a whole bunch of conduit, and it was some pretty. I wouldn't say it was like ultra complex bends or anything like that, but it was a lot of like matching bends.
No.
It was like 4 3/4 in a row that all had to have the exact same like 8-inch offset going up, and then doing like back-to-back stub 90s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Took me about half a day worth, 4 or 5 hours to bend all probably fucking 10 15 of these pipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I got done with it and I put it all up on the wall and put all the clamps up and stuff like that, and I stepped back and I was like, oh, I'm taking a photo of this.
Yeah,
like it was crisp. Like I'm sure someone says like your brother could go in there and done it in like half the time.
Yeah.
And done it like that much better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like for me, only being there for 3-4 months and stuff like that, I did an entire wall and I was just like, oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That's crisp. Like it was clean bends, like everything matched. Like I took that photo and I was like, okay, I'm starting to get this.
Yeah, dude, my biggest my honest to God biggest problem with bending conduit was, I mean, I could bend conduit well enough to make it work.
Yeah.
But I have this weird thing where, one, like, my boss is my brother. And 2, like, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And then 3, like, you're constantly kind of fighting the clock.
Yeah.
So all those things kind of contradicted me. And I would get super frustrated, dude. Like, I would bend the same bend over and over and over and just go through pipe and just fucking do it because it didn't look perfect. And then, like, sometimes I would bend something and I would, like, show it to him. And I'm like, hey, man, like, what's wrong with this one? He's like, it looks good. And to me, dude, it never looked fucking good. It was like... Well, I know that it took me like fucking 30 minutes to do this like semi-complex bend, but you could have done it in like fucking 2 or 3 pulls.
Yeah.
And made it look so much better.
Yeah, sometimes like we would be under a crunch and I would just hand a stick to your brother and he would just whop, 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 and he would do this insane 270-degree bend and create this work
fucking
of
crazy
art.
Shit, yeah.
And he wouldn't make one measurement. He wouldn't double check his work along the way. He would just stare at the wall and go, all right, I got this. Yeah. And then he would just bust it out. And what would take me and you half an hour, 45 minutes, and pulling out multiple levels and tape measures and double checking every measurement down to like the 1/8 of an inch. Your brother just eyeballs it and does it in 3 minutes maybe. And I'm just like, oh my God.
That's where the experience comes in. Yeah. I mean, like, dude, I got a lot better at bending conduit towards the end of my time there, but I remember my first day where I actually had to bend, like when we first got those new units that rolled out, and they're like, hey, this is bare walls, you guys have to do everything. And
I was so intimidated by that,
dude. Yeah,
I was so from walking in and seeing what the product was at like the 80% mark, and stuff like that.
There's so much
like,
shit.
and like we were in those units and they were packed with all this pipe and all the generators and equipment and everything, and I was like, okay, cool. And then they gave us the fresh units, and I realized how all of it
has to be made by us.
I was like when we left automotive and you were like, yeah, man, we're gonna go be electricians. In my mind, I had this like really like narrow view of like, okay, we're gonna go and we're just gonna only touch wire.
Yeah. Oh, like rope houses or something.
Yeah, basically. Like I was like, we're only going to touch wires. Like that's it. And then we went there and they gave us those fresh units, and I was like, oh, we doing like full blown like construction from the ground
this
up.
Is that, dude. Industrial's no fucking joke.
Yeah.
You make it.
Yeah, you build. Yeah, if it's not there, you're building it.
Yeah, exactly. From like raw material shit.
Yeah, 100% raw material.
Dude, it was insane.
Yeah, no, when those fresh units rolled out and it was just 4 walls and a ground, and they were like, everything else you have to build. I was like,
fuck.
Oh God.
Yeah, dude.
And then after that, when we finished those first ones where we where we got to go from 0 to 100, and we're like, okay, this is what it looks like. That next set of fresh units, I was so pumped for them.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my God, this is so
like you already know.
I know everything that we have to do, and I knew what I messed up last time. So now I know when I need to bend this complex, crazy bend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can do it better, or I can try to do it faster, or whatever I was gonna do. But literally just from one unit to the next, I went from being scared shitless to being like, oh hell yeah, this is gonna be fun as hell.
Dude, I had a kind of different view on it because, I mean, granted, I still had the same thing as you. Like you, I was excited to do this other shit, but the thing of it was that there's so much work that goes into building what we were building that in the amount of time that we were there, we hadn't done everything yet.
No.
Like there was so much that goes on that, you know, someone's really good at doing this, someone's really good at doing that, and they kind of just like, you know, everyone does their own kind of specialty shit.
Yeah, you do. You have your 10 tasks that you do on a unit, and they're not always consecutive.
Exactly.
Task. So you'll do step A, D, and G.
Yeah, exactly.
And
like,
everyone
we
else...
don't have such and such gear or equipment, so we'll skip that, but we'll run pipe. And then, you know, whatever's running pipe, you don't need a whole crew running pipe. And they're like, all right, we need you guys pulling wire, you guys doing light, you guys can hang these boxes or these panels. And so there's like everyone's kind of doing some different shit. And my biggest thing going into that was like I wanted to do it all.
Yeah.
So every unit that we did, I tried to do different stuff. The only thing that I did repeatedly was terminate those junction boxes. That was, and that's where I kind of felt comfortable and like getting more attached to my craftsmanship, making things look pretty. Terminating, I feel really comfortable doing. Like I feel like I do well. But all the other stuff is like, okay, I haven't done this, so let's try. And I felt like that is a good thing and a bad thing. One, it is a good thing because you're always challenging yourself to do something differently. But two, kind of sucks when, one, if you fuck it up, you get frustrated. Or two, if, you know, superiors, especially in that place, because it was such a toxic fucking place.
Yeah.
Someone sees that you fuck something up, that you're 100% going to get shit for it. And not just like, haha, like you fucked this up. Like, people will legitimately, like, see you as less for not doing it well.
People will push for your termination.
Exactly.
On stuff that you were like, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna give it my all, and they're like, and then you mess it up, and they're like,
yeah, you should fire this guy.
Yeah, you should probably let that guy go.
Fucking yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
and that was my thing, like talking about how that place turned toxic relatively quickly. I mean, we only worked there for about 4 months, and in that time, we went from being
excited,
scared to excited to enjoying work to being like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
In such a short period of time when you really think about it. But it would be like, yeah, so like we had the first units where we had no idea what we were doing and they were almost done. And then the second units that we were clueless, but we figured it out. And then you got the third units and we were like, all right, we're going to learn and stuff like that. And I remember by the time we were leaving, it would be like, like how you were saying, you don't do everything. You just started to get put into your individual task that you started doing well, and you just repeat it. And near the end, when people started leaving and stuff like that, and it left more work on me and you,
exactly,
and guys of our level and stuff like that, they'd be like, "Hey, have you ever ran this cable from this unit to that unit?" And be like, "No, I've never done this." And they'd be like, "This is your 5th unit. How have you never done this?" And it's like, well, we used to work on a crew of 12 guys.
Yeah.
And now we're on a crew of 3 of us.
Yeah.
I didn't do all of the work last time. Yeah. Like, that was 8 other guys' job. Now I have to learn. So, yeah, this might be my 5th unit, but, like, does not mean I've touched this area.
And this is also my 3rd month in the trade.
This is my 89th day doing this job. Like, when you really put it down into, like, days and hours, you're just like... Like, you've been doing this for, like, I've been doing this for 89 days. I've been doing this for 97 days. Like, and I don't know shit.
In comparison to, like, what, a journeyman is what, 10,000 hours?
Yes, 10,000 hours.
We had, what, 250?
Yeah, at that point, we had 200. And that's 10,000 just to get your journeyman.
To apply.
To apply, to take the test. To
become a journeyman.
To prove. So, like, your brother... Oh, my God, I would love to actually know how many hours your brother has.
Yeah, because he has 13 years as a journeyman.
So he had his 10,000 hours before.
Yeah,
and then 13 years of working all of the time because your brother doesn't take days off and stuff like your brother's insane. Like, I would love to know what that hour count goes up to.
Is it 13 years as a journeyman? Let's see. He's 30 years old. That's 13 years total.
That's 13 years in the trade.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be.
He's about to be 31.
Yes.
So he's going on his 14th year because he started at 17.
So it's 10 years of journeyman.
10 years of journeyman.
Yeah, because it's 4 years of being an apprentice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, roughly.
Yeah, depending on how much you work and timing and all that stuff. But yeah, roughly 3 to 4 years of apprenticeship.
Yeah. He's a journeyman in like 8 different states too.
Damn.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Because some of those guys at that place weren't even a journeyman in one state.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so since then, we have left that place.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we are still doing electrical. We are working.
Mostly.
I'd say we were working.
I guess not for me, but.
Yeah, I'd say we were both working for separate companies now. I'd say I'm still doing electrical. Very different electrical.
Yeah,
that was the crazy thing. So going in.
Hold on, but before you tell
us
what you're doing now, can you tell us what that segue was of ending to starting this new career? Sorry, real quick. Do you have a hard out?
No.
Okay.
No,
I do have to finish up around 2:30 ish, but we have time.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So when that place turned unbelievably toxic. Mm-hmm. And it was just, they started laying people off. You saw me on those days. Oh, yeah. I thought we were done.
Yeah.
I thought we were on that list.
Yeah. I thought we were at the door.
I thought my name was on a pink slip 100%. Like every day I went in just being like, all right, I'm going to get my pink slip. And then we'd make it to lunch and be like, okay, well, they're going to give me my pink slip after we get back from lunch. And then they didn't. And like every day for like 5 straight days. I thought we were getting fired and laid off. Dude. And I was so worried. I
agree with you 100%.
I was so worried. But we survived. We survived a layoff season. And it just did not get better. It just kept on getting more and more toxic and everything of that sort. People yelling at you for no reason. People, expectation management was not a thing there. They would expect guys with, 80 days of experience to be having the knowledge of guys with 8 years of experience.
Like a third year.
Yeah, it just everything about that place just started all of the when you start a new job and everything looks great.
Yeah.
And then the longer you're there, you're like, oh wait,
that glisten, that sheen kind of wears off.
Yeah, the shine wears off and the shit starts to show. That's 100% what that was. Like, I don't think anything about that place really, really changed from day one to the day we left.
Yeah.
I think we just started to stop being scared of our own shadow and started going like, wait, this place is fucking stupid.
Yeah. No, well, I think there's part of both. Because before, the shit really started to roll downhill, there was some key events that had happened that had never happened before.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of our signal to like
extreme micromanagement. But selective though, only micromanagement of certain peoples and crew and stuff.
Let's just say it was our crew.
It was 100% our crew.
It was our crew.
Our crew had a target on our back for some reason, still unknown to this day.
Yeah.
And other crews with people who had more experience with
less production,
and way less work ethic. Got away with murder.
Yeah.
And then we were getting timed on our 15-minute breaks. And if we were taking a 16-minute break, we were threatened to get a pink slip by the end of the day because we took 60 seconds longer of a break.
If we were laughing and joking while we're working, while
tools in hand.
Doing a task, someone cracks a joke, haha, blah, blah. And someone happens to walk by while we are laughing, it doesn't matter if you're drill hand, like putting up equipment, doing something, and they're like, oh yeah, they're goofing off.
Yep. Yeah. So all of that starts to happen, and I'm like, all right, I just got to be out of here. I've worked enough shitty jobs and enough good jobs to this point in my life that I'm like, I'm not going to stick around for a shitty job.
Yeah.
Like I know when my time is up
It's
at a
not
place.
beneficial enough.
No, it's not. Life is too short to be fucking miserable all the damn
Yeah.
time. Like, it sucks. And so it was actually really kind of serendipitous, actually, kind of on how my situation worked. My wife was changing career fields as well, and she went in for an interview at a place to be an accountant for a construction company that dealt primarily in electrical. And just she was doing her normal interview, just talking about herself and everything like that. And during the course of the interview, when she's talking to the HR person, she mentions that her husband is an electrical apprentice, and they go, "Oh my God, we're hiring for electrical apprentices. Here, take this application, please,
And give
give it to your husband. Like, we
Yeah.
would love to have him have an interview as well." And so yeah, so I was planning on leaving the place where we were at, the really toxic place. But I hadn't put out really any feelers yet, any applications. It was all just like an idea in the back of my head that I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. Came home from work one day, and she literally just hands me this application. And she goes like, hey, here you go. Like, I interviewed here. I think it's great. These people seem awesome. Like, you know, put your name out there and see what they say and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I went and I did that interview, and they ended up being really cool people and stuff like that. And I took the interview, and it went really well, and they offered me a position and stuff like that. And I took about a week to think about it. And during that week, the previous job, the toxic job, just got way worse.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, this is perfect. I was like, they sent me an offer. This place is going to hell in a handbasket. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm out.
And you were able to go there with a member of our crew.
Yes. There was another guy, Ryan, Big Ryan.
Big Rye.
Shout out to Rye Guy.
Yeah, right guy.
I went to that interview and I told him about it. I was like, hey man, and kind of like, this is looking really good. Everything's working out great. Yada yada yada. I was like, I think you should probably send him your resume. And so he sent it to him. And same thing. They offered him. He went to an interview. They offered him a job on the spot type thing. And so we both thought about it for a week. And we were at work at the toxic place, and we called our new place together. Like, he called the HR girl and was like, "Hey, I would like to accept the job application." Yeah. Oh, and by the way, here's Dustin, and he just handed me his cell phone, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going? I would also like to accept your job offer." So we kind of like did the Step Bros thing where they're like sitting in the chair like behind each other, like hello. Like, we basically did that.
Dude, I did that too. No, but like, we went into the interview together. So, all right. So before I tell you guys what I'm doing right now, hold on. I want you to finish.
So we both like called the HR woman like on the same phone call, and we both accepted it. And like literally the next Monday we started work. And so we're both still doing electrical. Very different. We went from industrial electrical to residential new build. So it's not even service stuff like that. So it's very different. But it's funny, like how we were saying, like day one of the first job we were at, like just completely clueless, scared, and stuff like that. Yeah. And with just in those like 3-4 months of experience of that, like I walked into day one at my new job, and like I was nervous. Obviously, new job, don't know anyone there, yada yada yada. Like I gotta like make new connections with all these people, all the normal like social anxieties and stuff like that. But like I walked in and I was like, all right, what we doing? Like, I was like, I got this. I was like, I don't know what we're doing.
But I know that I'm
But
useful.
if I could do everything I just did for the past 4 months, like, anything you have for me, easy. Exactly. I got this. And so, so it's been working out really well. I've been there for about a month now, and it's fun. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm clueless, but, you know, I'm not as clueless as I was 6 months ago.
That's fucking awesome. Hey, are you guys, like, roping houses, like, before drywall's up and stuff? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm on what is known as a rough-in crew, and so it's just framing. Framing is done. Plumbing should be done when plumbers get their act together. Yeah. And then HVAC is done as well. And so it's just frames and studs. And we go in, drill all the holes, we run all the wires, we rope everything in, we do all the home runs back to the circuit breakers and stuff like that. We do everything we can. We don't terminate the main breaker panel. And then the drywall guys come in. Flooring comes in, they paint the house, they put carpet down. They basically get the house to about like the 95% mark. Yeah. And then a trim crew comes in, and then they actually put all like the receptacles in, your switches, your lights, your ceiling fans. They do that, and then they have a crew that comes in afterwards that then does all like the touch up paint and
Yeah.
put your baseboards on, stuff like that. And then the house was basically ready for the customer to move in.
Sick.
Yeah, so I'm like after framing, I'm like the third step after that on a rough in crew.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot easier?
It's easier in the sense of what we're physically building. The pace is way harder.
Yeah, it's
fast. Way faster.
Yeah.
A single house in a day.
Really?
Yeah, like how like we went from like
What's the square footage usually? Okay. What's going on? What's up, guys? It's Juan. As you can tell, this wasn't the ending to the episode that we initially intended it to be. I had a family emergency. Don't worry, everyone's okay. But I had to leave immediately and we couldn't finish the episode. But don't worry, we're going to jump right back in where we were before. And as always, be safe and stay thirsty.